Hey folks, my name is Rene Enriquez and you are watching Uncensored.
This is Rene Enriquez. Nickname Bootser. Black Hand of the Mexican Mafia. Prison gang politics.
Hey folks, my name is Rene Enriquez and you are watching Uncensored. Welcome back to another episode of Being Made. We're going to continue with the behind-the-scenes look at how the Black Hand, the book, the biography about my life, was created, and it first came about when Chris Blatchford and I met at Industry Sheriff Station. This is the same location where the Perico series took place. Is Debrief. This is the same room. It's the opposite side of the wall where me and Chris met with Richard Valdemar as well, and we went through just a series of conversations, and from these videotapes we extracted the manuscript. So let's start to unpack this video, and we'll break it down as we go along. I hope you enjoy it, folks. As always, remember that we have multiple ways to support the channel. Number one is buy the team a cup of coffee. That's consider it a virtual tip jar. There's memberships of every level. Watching the video in its entirety. Because we understand that a lot of people can't give money and afford memberships. We understand that some people can't afford Patreon. We understand that. We totally understand that. But how you can support the video is by watching it in its entirety. I mean, let it run all the way through. That helps the channel. Leaving a comment, leaving a thumbs up, that supports the channel because it feeds the algorithm. So we understand that. So we ask for you guys' contribution in any way you guys can make it. And we truly appreciate it because this is your channel. It's not ours. It's not mine. Without you guys, this channel wouldn't exist. So just know that we're appreciative. And we're going to be doing something really special for the 50,000 subscriber mark because we're almost there, folks. We're almost there. And we're doing it organically. With that said, let's kick off this video and see what it's about. 27 years old.
And the county jail, well, at least during our RICO, we heard on the wire that they called the county jail headquarters.
Was headquarters. Anybody that came in had to go. You can catch them in the county jail. Biggest money-making factory there, county jail. They were carrying around cash money. Everybody was allowed $40 per visit. We had colectas going on. We asked the trustees on specific floors, hey, throw a colecta for us. They come back with $1,000, $2,000 collected off the floor. You could have people dealing dope off the floors. You had extortions going on. I got a Mercedes-Benz. I got I got half a pound of coke from one dealer. This was before the kitty system was in play. It didn't even exist at the time. So this was like LA County Jail where cash money was flowing. Because you were allowed to carry around cash money. In the visit, they could leave you $40. They called it the wet 40. Because they would dip the money in a solution that ensured that it didn't have any type of narcotic solution dried into it, right? But this was really early on. Mosca Torres had not set up the kitty scam, and there was no leadership structure in the county jail like mesas or bloqueros or esquineros or tier reps. None of that existed. This was the wild, wild west days in the county jail when I was there.
Why is it so easy to operate in county as opposed to prison?
Because it's our home front. We have phones. We have constant communication. Communication is a key to efficiency, especially in the organization. We can get on the phone and call people. Say you're a drug dealer. I tell you, hey, I'm a carnal. I'm taxing you. I want you to call your people right now and have them deliver $10,000 to my house. And you can call 5 minutes later and say, hey, so-and-so is going to call you. They're going to have $10,000. I'm going to call you back in 15 minutes. Let me know if it's there. And you tell them you have 15 minutes to get it done. If you don't, we're going to whack you. And then you can sit there and watch them get on the phone. They'll call their people and say, get that money there now. You know, we've extorted so many things, motorcycles, cars, just all the biggies come through high power. And we tax them all. We tax them all. We had some major drug dealers. The Menendez boys came through. I had encounters with those guys.
So you reach out to those guys, people like that, civilians? Or?
Sure, we'll get those guys too. If the Menendez boys would have been there any longer, we would have got them. As was, Leslie Abramson, their attorney, went to Guate because she thought that
me and Benny Peters were going to get him. We gave him some money to go to the store for us. And
Yeah, I've told this story before. I remember this. Yeah, I mean, if the Menendez boys would have been around for a long enough period, and they had ample resources available, then I'm sure that some carnal would came along and taxed him. Somehow, some way, would have been able to stick his finger in the pie. Get his little cut. Poor choice of words. Get his cut. Let's just put it that way, because that's a damn poor choice of words for jail. But somebody would have been able to get their cut out of him, right? I don't think it would have been an over, we'll whack you if you don't pay us, but somebody would have used him. Somebody would have figured out a way to get something out of him. 'Cause that's just the way it is there. It's a pool of sharks. So anybody coming through high power is subjected to that. Unless they're one of the fold, unless they're in that social circle, then they're exempt from it. But yeah, it was crazy in those times.
they somehow got caught. We were on restriction row, the disciplinary row, and they weren't able to get us our goods. And I guess they told the police that we were going to get them. We never had any plot to get them or anything. But they went. Leslie Abramson went to Quat and asked him to keep us off of them. And I never understood why they did that.
Yeah.
I actually like those kids. There's a really funny story about one of them. I think it was Lyle, the one that wears the wig.
That's Lyle.
Yeah, he's on the tier with me,
Alright.
and I'm a few cells away from him. And when he first enters the jail, he's wearing, when he's in his cell, he's wearing this do-rag, this little rag around his head. And I figure, well, he's trying to be tough. He wants to look like a pirate. This guy's wearing those rags like that. And then every time he's in his cell, he's wearing it. I just never figured anything. I just figured he wanted to assimilate, I guess. Become part of the terrain.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, a sergeant comes in, and a couple other officers come in, and I can't see him, but I'm hearing him because he's out of my vision. We have big mirrors on the tier, but he's within range where I can hear him. They're telling him, give it to us now, give it up. And I'm saying, wow, they busted the guy with a shank or some dope. This guy's doing something. And I'm hearing him saying, I can hear his response, what? What are you talking about, officer? I don't have anything. He says, give it up now. Just this authoritative voice command, that training you guys go through. And I'm thinking, this guy's got some dope. His attorney wants to give him something, or he's dealing, he's got a shank, for his own protection. Then I hear him say, what are you talking about, officer? He says, give us the wig. And he handed out this little tube that he had. The little tiny tube that he was wearing on his head. He handed it out, and
Oh, man.
then everybody knew. And he was walking around with his little bald head for the next few months, and he was just totally embarrassed. And
It was hilarious. Yeah. Because he had all natural hair right here, combed and groomed, but he had this little bald pate, right? And he was embarrassed, right? And I told the guy, like, what's the deal, bro? Just rock that shit. Get a bald hair. Get a bald head. And I remember that distinctly. It was hilarious, right? He actually got a court order to wear it, and during court, that's where you see him wearing it. And you see him in court after you know that he has a toupee. You'll see it every time. You can't unsee it, right? Once you know he has a toupee, you cannot unsee the fact that he's wearing a toupee. I didn't know it before that, but then I became a toupee spotter after that. Anybody rocking a toupee on TV, anywhere, I was, he's wearing a rug. He's wearing a rug, because Lyles would just sit on his head like a little dead animal, and it just sat up there like a little curly dead animal, right? And it was hilarious. This was hilarious.
we told him, I said, what are you worried about that for? That's just you.
Yeah.
But he couldn't handle it. He had got a court order. He went, wearing this little thing on his head in court.
He had his whole image going,
Really, I didn't understand it. I just
Yeah.
don't shave your head, man.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
So you go off to prison then. And then
Well, we did a lot of orchestrating in the county jail. We did some more hits. There was a lot of hits that we did there. There's
I remember
numerous.
having a list. There were like, 20 or something, weren't there?
There was
20
stuff
guys
we're doing for
involved
the
anyway.
stuff we're doing for the AB when we got with the
Stinson.
Indio. John Stinson was supposed to go on the Indio Henry Carlos hit. Carlos hit with me. He was supposed to go with me on that hit. John was trying to maintain that tie between the M and the AB, but I knew that if I involved this guy in the hit, I was doomed in the eyes of the MA. But Quante wanted it that way. Quante says, make sure you take this guy, make sure he's there.
Because they're all running buddies from Long Beach or something.
They're
right?
crime partners, yeah.
Yeah.
They're crime partners. As a matter of fact, John Quante caters to him. Everybody in the organization.
Yeah, that was gonna sink my boat right there, because Guate was insistent upon me taking John Stinson to help kill Indio. And John was down. He was like, he had spoken to me. We're on the same tier together. He says, "Yeah, I'll go. I'll take a shank and we'll do it." And I just knew like this is a bad idea. And I wasn't that politically savvy at the time. I was like 27 years old, 28 years old. But I knew that Guate was in bad enough already that, nah, I'm not going to do this. If he's, because Black Dan told me to eliminate Indio, along with a couple other brothers. So what Black Dan said went, not what Guate said, And I trusted Black Dan. He was one of my brothers, right? One of those guys is like a friend. Guate wasn't. And I knew that was just a political misstep. In my young, immature, my politically immature mind, I was able to formulate that rationale that this is wrong. This is going to cost you dearly.
He says that Guate kisses their ass all the time because he wants them to think that he's the godfather of the Mexican Mafia, but Guate's nothing anymore. He's nothing. But there was quite a few hits. Raul from Garrity, so many that we can't. Rick Carpenter, they killed him in the county jail. That was for John Stinson at the request of Wino Grajeda. They were doing hits for the AB. Guate Grajeda was utilizing Sureños to do hits for the AB.
Yeah, that was a really horrible thing they were doing. They were sending out messages, "Hey, this guy owes money. He hasn't paid. Whack him." But when we found out, literally, because Wino was sending out all these kites, that guy's got to go, that guy's got to go, and they were getting eliminated, right? Then we could find out a couple years later that it was all for the AB. That they would get at Guate, "Hey, that guy offended the brand. Can you take care of him?" Guate would tell Wino to send a kite out, and Wino would say it was for them, not the brand, but for Guate and Wino, and people would do it, And I even did it, right? So when everybody found out, it was like, what the F is this? And that's one of the reasons they campaigned so hard on Guate. He was lion, snake, two-faced dude, as was his brother Wino. And that's not jealousy. That's just reality, believe me. I'm not jealous of any brother or any past brother. I'm not. I mean, I'm happy where I'm at in life, and there is no jealousy or agenda whatsoever. I'm just telling you the facts as they are.
Nobody knew about it until it came out in the end that they were hitting white guys they were on the list for the AB, and there's so much stuff going on there at the time. So many politics happened at the time.
Why hook up with the AB? I mean, you don't really need them.
We don't need them at all. We never needed them. As a matter of fact, anybody that opposes the power or the authority of the Mexican Mafia is considered an adversary. We go to war with them immediately. We've never needed a special alliance with anybody.
That used to be. That's the way the organization was. The organization was a powerhouse, and its ferocity was unquestioned by anybody. If you offended a carnal or you disrespected the organization, we're going to war. There were no politics. There were no peace treaties. It was like, we're going to war, and something's going to be eliminated, right? And it would jump everywhere. But now, I'm going to do an episode on this coming up pretty quick. Those who dared to oppose the organization's power. That's coming soon.
To bolster our power, the AB needs us to function. They've always needed us because they were targeted by the NF, the BGF, the Crips, the Bloods, everybody. So they've always maintained this tie. They wanted to maintain this tie, even recently.
Let me say this about the brand, right? The brand is ferocious, I think they could hang on their own. They don't need anybody's support. Now, looking back at it, this is what, 2002? This is 24 years ago. The brand has proven itself to be a ferocious organization. I mean, they eliminate people and they butcher them. There's not that many of them. I think they're waning in their strength, but I think they can hang on their own. I mean, you're talking about brutal guys, right? And when they eliminate, it's over the top. Over the top. Like some of the stuff I saw in Folsom, where they're whacking guys with bone crushers that big, that wide, and they would carve this little shamrock in them. Like that's their symbol, the shamrock, the little clover leaf, right? They would carve that in their weapons and leave it inside the bodies, right? Like brutal stuff, man, brutal stuff. So, I think that what you're hearing there was arrogance. They needed us. Like, no, the brand existed before us. Actually, they were created after us, but they've always held their own. So, again, you're seeing that arrogance in me emerge during this interview. which is not attractive at all.
These 2000 peace talks like I told you about, John Stinson approached me and wanted to maintain the ties. We went through some conspiracies that we entered at that point. But he wanted to maintain the tie. The AB needs us. We don't need them. But Cuates always sought to keep that relationship intact. There are so many hits that I can't even,
Yeah.
the gang module, they killed some guy. Let me see, it was Chango from Sanfed and Muskie from Flores.
Mm-hmm.
They killed that guy and stuck him under the bunk.
So I recently found out that Chango from Sanfed, Albert Briviesca, actually paroled from prison. He had that conviction there of that elimination in the gang module, and so did Muskie. He paroled as well. So, God bless them. But what I found out sadly was that Albert Briviesca had a substance abuse problem. He always had one in the county jail when I was there with him. We all did. We all had substance abuse issues. But after he paroled, he relapsed and started using again. He had a little gardening business, and he was doing okay for himself. But he relapsed, and they found him deceased at a park as a result of fentanyl overdose. So R.I.P. to him, and condolences to his family.
Laco from Sereno, we got the order on that directly from Chuco Castro. This is the one that went to his house and pulled out the gun. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
I got the order for that, and we effectuated the county jail.
So
It just-
move on to prison though. So
This is what really pissed me off about Chris Blatchford. Like, he didn't see the importance of the county jail. He wants to move on, and it reflects in the book. It reflects in the Black Hand. Like, he didn't see the importance of some things that were really fundamental to the organization's strength and its ability to really structure Sureños, right, as an effective and efficient infrastructure. And that's what I was trying to get across to him. Like, hey, the county jail, and this is like the second or third time he said it. Move on to prison. Move on to prison. And like I said 1,000 times to 1,000 different people, I'm only as good as the person sitting next to me, right? Like, if you're eliciting information from me, I'm only as good as the questions you pose, right? So if you ask me what color's the sky, and I start telling you, well, it's a different shade of gray, and it's a little has a little blue hue, but you say, I just want one color, and I say, well, it's gray then. I can't give you the full answer if you don't allow me to give you the full answer, and that's kind of what's happening here. But don't critique to Chris, because he's a great journalist, right? He's an award winner. He's got 9 Emmys. He's got a Peabody, up for crying out loud. He's a great journalist, but he has one focus on what he wants. He wants the graphic stuff, right? And I think the book reflects that as well.
you go back where? Is the Bay open?
I go
by
back
then?
to Tehachapi.
Tehachapi.
That's the reception center now.
And how are you received when you get back there?
I'm in good standing. I'm good with everybody there. I'm good with everybody in the organization, as a matter of fact. Other than the individuals that supported Mon and Henry Carlos, I'm in disfavor with those guys.
But now in this period of your life, I mean, you're going away, you're not coming back.
I'm not going back.
I mean, do you know that?
I know that.
What's going through your head?
This is forever. As a matter of fact, at the point that I took the plea,
So when I get to Tehachapi, and right after I took the plea, I knew, I'm going to face some music. I knew there was going to be politics flying, because Henry Indio Carlos was politicking. He was politicking on me in the county jail. He wanted to have me hit over a couple of bucks that I think I owed him $20 for a paper of product, right? And I didn't pay him on time. So he went to Marquiquitos and told Marquiquitos he wanted to eliminate me for that $20. So I knew that that it was personal with him, right? I knew it was personal with him. And in fact, Daryl Baca once told me, we're talking in the cell. He said, what do you think? Because Henry Indio Carlos was in the pod with us. And he says, what do you think, is going to happen with you guys? I said, well, I think it's over. And he says, nah. He says, he's just waiting for his time. And it's stuck in my head in Pelican Bay when Daryl Baca told me that. He's just waiting for his time. And I think that was it. It was just waiting for his political time. Because they didn't allow him to do it in the county jail when he sought permission over that $20 or so that I owed him.
I agreed to take the plea, and I took it rather painlessly. I mean, we go in there, we get sentenced to 15 life, multiple life sentences running concurrent. Gilbert gets 20 years with no life tops. That was part of the bargain. He goes home, I don't. Then I go back to the cell, and I'm sitting in the holding tank, and I take a little nap. And as soon as I woke up from the nap, just in my mind, it was screaming, no, what did you do? What did you do? You accept a life sentence. So it hit me at that point.
But then you said earlier that you were thinking that you were going to go back on the death sentence. So really,
But accepting the sentence was a whole different thing. I mean, I understood that. I anticipated going to death row. But when they came out with a life deal, it sounded fairly okay. But once accepting the life sentence, your whole persona screams out against it.
Yeah, I couldn't. I don't even know if I can articulate how it felt. I was asleep on the bench across the street from City Hall inside the court tank on the 13th floor, and I took a little nap after court, and I woke up, and it just like I came up out of the nap, like almost jolted, and I was like, no, no. I just accepted 3 life sentences, 2 15 lives, and 1 life without the possibility of parole for 20 years. And my whole mind just screamed against it, like, no, what did you do? And I had that dream a few times, kind of like a feeling when you get up a few times, like it's kind of hard to get your head wrapped around a sentence like that. And for me, it was like, all right, finally that sense of like regret or resistance towards accepting the sentence went away, and I just accepted it. It became the norm. I was going to do the rest of my life in prison.
In fact, I would wake up for about the first year or two. Once in a while, I'd wake up in the middle of the night, pitch black in the cell, and I wouldn't know where I was at. I'd wake up, I'd disoriented, and I'd wake up and I'd look around, not understanding where I was at, and I'd look at the walls, and I'd snap finally and say, "You're in prison, and you're going to be here for the rest of your life." And that was the first real, the significant feeling I had of life sentence. And it happened maybe about 10 times during the first 2 years. I remember the feeling. It was just weighty. It was a weighty, profound feeling.
And were those all at Tehachapi? Or how long were you at Tehachapi?
Well, I was only at Tehachapi about 6 months, and those are pretty easy days. We didn't have much drama going. There was a lot of cohesiveness.
Yeah.
We already ridded people of the bad seeds that we figured in the organization. We were trying to bring together unification in the organization, and we had made a couple guys at Tehachapi at that point in time. I was probably the senior member in Tehachapi at that point.
You went to Wasco for a while too, didn't you?
That was when we flew down later.
Right, yeah, okay.
Did you get that? We went to Wasco. That's Chris Blatchford's pronunciation of Wasco. Yeah. And that making guys down in Tehachapi, that's when you hear Perico Ochoa in the hotel, secret hotel meetings talk about there's Cardenales dropping guys everywhere they go. He's talking crap about me. What a lot of people didn't realize, he's talking about me because he tells Widow Shy. I won't say no names, but I mean, the guy was a turd. God bless him, rest in peace, but he was a turd. He talked bad about everybody, he complained about everything, and then, that's all he did. That's all he was known for.
Later, we're talking years later.
So then you go to the Bay after Tehachapi?
Go to the Bay. We go to the Bay, and we sit up there for years, establishing the crew, communicating. We start functioning in this, we missed the whole thing in the county jail was the drive-bys. Stopping the drive-bys, organizing.
That's right,
organizing.
Yeah.
Do you want us to cover that?
Yeah, go ahead. Into the parks and everything.
Yeah, well, I start
How
calling.
did that come up?
Well, me, Chuco Castro, Black Dan Barella, and Jesse Palom Moreno, we're talking on the phone. I'm calling them all the time from the county jail. It's like home base right there.
They're outside.
They're outside. Everybody's out there. I'm inside. Anything they want done in the county, I go to them. Anything I want in the streets, I go to them. As a matter of fact, I'm forming my crew, and they're taking down other crews, but they're allowing mine to prosper.
Yeah, this was early on when people were starting to establish crews in the streets. I mean, brothers started thinking beyond the prison walls at that point, right? Because most guys were just stuck in the prisons, in the shoe, couldn't do anything, had no communication, and there were like maybe 10 members on the streets, and I was out there for a short period. I wasn't getting out. I was only out there for 20 days, and I picked up those homicides, and but I established some relationships out there, and people were still loyal to me, and I utilized that. And thankfully, Chuco and Black Dan and Shy, all my key support was out there, and they allowed me to flourish. Everybody else, they were taken down, because this was a period in time where Indio makes mention of Patitas doing a lot of wrong. And this was Chuco Castro and those brothers telling people, we're out here, you're in there, we run the streets, don't tell us anything. And they would literally take guys' territories, right? some of those cardenales were doing wrong, and I acknowledge that that's what they were doing, right? Cardenales were getting dogged out up at the bay. But they allowed me to do this. Unbeknownst to me, Chuco was an informant at this time. This is really at the time where he flipped. Right around this time, he flipped, and he started working with the FBI.
That's how my crew really got off the ground. Chuck was the one that established it for me, and all these other brothers, they allowed it to go on. Where they're in the practice of taking down all the crews and assimilating the pieces of those crews into their crew. When we start talking about infiltrating the gangs, we're saying, well, let's stop the drive-bys, number one.
Why?
Because the people on 18th Street were shooting babies. Do you remember the big rash of 18th Street shootings were shooting the babies? So this is wrong. So, and we're talking to Chuco. I talked to Chuco. There was a lot of opposition to that. As a matter of fact, I got some notes on that.
And this was when, like late 80s then? Early 90s?
Early 90s.
Early 90s.
91, we started talking, 90, 92, 91.
And 18th Street is shooting babies on purpose, or just getting in the crossfire?
Crossfire.
Yeah.
Innocent collateral damage, I guess they call it.
Yeah.
They had a reputation for being indiscriminate in their shooting.
I look at how young I looked there. Damn, I was young. Where did the time go? I look at some of this stuff and it just takes me aback. Like, wow, I'm an old man now. But it's okay. I still feel like a young buck.
Matter of
They
fact, we
would shoot
targeted them.
anything, you know.
As a matter of fact, one of the individuals that was on the street was Ruben Castro, Night Owl, from 18th Street. And, okay, there was halting drive-bys in L.A. The original concept was to stop drive-bys because it was looking bad on the Mexican population and Mexican Mafia in particular, because we were supposed to control all the gangs. They're shooting babies, they're shooting old ladies, they're shooting little girls, and they're just running indiscriminately in the middle of the street, firing and spraying houses, and it looked terrible. So we put out the concept, and there was quite a bit of opposition from the organization on the streets and in prison. They said, we can't do this. We can't do this. We don't have the power to do this. So I started calling these brothers, and they start calling me, and there was hesitancy from the hierarchy on the streets. They're saying, we don't know, but we actually pushed it pretty hard. Me, Little Mo was actually fundamental in this, and Little Mo was not too bright, but he was passionate about this.
Peter San Ojeda, how does he fit?
He did it in Orange County. As a matter of fact, we're trying to replicate what these guys are doing. They were just calling meetings. We're talking about infiltrating and putting reps in the neighborhood. We're going to have reps and people we can go to, guys, in each neighborhood.
So Sana's concept was stop shooting each other and target the blacks, right? Pretty small. I mean, his biggest meeting was about 300 people. And the meetings that we orchestrated, it was thousands of people. And there really was a plan to get reps to represent the barrios, and those people would answer to us and thereby collect taxes for us. And that was all the brothers on the streets, right? I handled the stuff in the county jail. Like if somebody came to the county jail after a specific date, the 33rd of February, after they violated the rule on the 33rd of February, they were targeted as soon as they came into the jail. And the biggest offenders, 18th Street, right? In fact, one group of individuals came in for shooting a kid. And I ensured that they received their just desserts. And I had multiple conversations with Ruben Castro, who was on the streets, and offered me $10,000. But in my stupidity, I refused it because it was morally wrong. It's morally wrong for a cardenal to accept money for that. I should have took that money and ran.
And the original concept is to tax all illicit activities in those neighborhoods. Well, the brothers on the street started taxing the neighborhoods. The reps had to bring specific monies. It just got corrupted, and we were detached from that because we didn't control that aspect of it. We're controlling the prison aspect of it. I'm in charge of enforcing anybody violating the drive-by policy. Anybody comes in the jail for drive-by, we have them whacked. We send it out. We give them a specific period. Hey, if you're in here now for that, you're okay. If you do it, or anybody else does it coming in, it's your responsibility to handle your homeboys. We're going to have it done.
Now, is there a little pang of morality actually here? You mean?
In the Mexican Mafia, there is a touch of morality bathed in self-interest.
Yeah.
Bathed in self-interest. We're
There you have it, folks. That does that segment of the video. Again, it's got some interesting stuff in there. It takes me back like 20-something years, man. I mean, it just shocks me that I was involved in that kind of life. When you look back in retrospect, it's like, wow, man, you were a jerk. And I see it. I was a freaking jerk. Arrogant little prick. And so glad for growth and change and maturity. I just I look at this and it reminds me of what I never want to be again. I never want to be that. I think it was Poe that wrote the phrase goes, "I am no longer what I once was, and I never shall, and I never shall be again." And I'm paraphrasing. I think it was Edgar Allan Poe. I am no longer what I once was, nor shall I ever be again. Again, paraphrasing. And that's true. I apply that to my life. I remember that all the time. I am no longer that guy, and I never want to be him again. Well, folks, with that said, we've come to the conclusion of another episode. There will be another, and another, and another. You can rest assured of that. All right. Hope you enjoyed this episode. As always, like, subscribe, share with a friend, leave a comment. Stay safe. Peace out.
This is Rene Enriquez. Nickname Uncensored.